Clone
Yes.
army of gingers.
Mm.
Guys, a clone
That's
army of
definitely-
gingers.
That would be
Hey,
scary.
the war
for sure.
the war would have been over in like 2 days. Like, once the robots saw the gingers, they'd be like, I don't want any part of this.
Because nobody would have taken it serious.
We wouldn't have needed helmets, because, like, come on, it's gingers. Like, a clone army of gingers? Bro, sign me up. Sign me up. I'll donate my DNA.
I bet you would. That'd be an easy army to kill.
I mean, we'd have to spice up the
Nobody would
genetics
have
a little
taken.
bit.
Nobody would have taken that war serious. It would have been a lame war.
Do you know what people take less serious? Ace being Ahsoka's apprentice.
Mm.
What's
Nobody knows that yet.
Mm-mm-mm.
Yep.
Way to spoil it. Way to spoil it.
You gave it away.
Terrible.
Seriously?
That was the point.
Spoiled it.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's over. Let's just turn it all off.
It took me a minute.
Hello-
it took me a
hello,
minute
Ultimate
to pull
Gamer.
that one up.
That is my son, by the way, if anybody wants to know.
Episode 8.
Oh,
He
the
just-
ultimate
he-
gamer.
He
Let's
just
talk about it.
He just
Get
wants
into
to
it.
jump in right, make sure that we're fighting right at the beginning.
I think I've already upset Ace, so I need to start this off with an apology.
That's light work. It's light work, bro.
Hey, what is going on, guys?
Man, what's good?
No, Justin, what's good, man? How you?
What's good? Everything's good, man. Everything's
Everything's
great. Lovely. Look at the new shirt. The new
I
shirt.
love that.
I
Yeah,
do love that shirt.
Yep.
It's quality.
All kinds of shirts.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm doing Vader and the Stormtroopers. So
Everybody's knocking off the Beatles.
Go ahead. Ahsoka's towel boy. What is that? Ahsoka's water boy.
Maybe
What is that?
not
It says
go
that, Ace.
there.
I can't read that.
Why is your mic so big?
he's
Compensate.
he's compensating.
I know. I was waiting for it.
Compensating for the child.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at it.
Well, guys, thank you.
Where's
for joining
Joey?
us. He's not here yet.
He is still in. He's still in Lightspeed. He'll be here soon.
Yeah, hopefully he makes it in time.
He's probably like 12
He's-
parsecs away.
You
He's
better.
light speed skipping right now, trying to get here. So
I love when we introduce new things that make no sense.
Yeah.
yeah, let's stay away from light speed.
I don't know what's in the Porg cup tonight. I can't ask it.
Hopefully,
Oh,
he
look
has
at
a
Ace! I'm digging your little
I've got-
Death Star back there.
I got Boba
Look
Fett.
at you sneaking that in. I've got original trilogy.
Oh.
Like that. Like that.
We got Leia, and then
What's
we
up,
got the-
medic?
Oh, look at that.
Thank you for joining us.
What's going on?
So, guys, thank you for being here with us. We always we're just hanging out. We love Star Wars. We are the Marauders. There's lots of stuff going on. Star Wars is finally picking back up. We're hearing some things. Joey's not here, so hopefully he'll make it back in time. But for who's here right now, let's start and go ahead and introduce everybody. Go from the top.
What's going on? This is Ace Ahsoka's apprentice, Kennedy, and welcome to the podcast.
I can't tell if Justin's stuck or
I think
I
Justin
think
may
he's
be
frozen.
stuck.
He might be frozen.
I'm
Shane, go
Shane,
for it.
not Ahsoka's apprentice, and I don't feel like Ace would be Ahsoka's apprentice, but we can have that conversation another time. So
It's not.
he
It's
is-
not on the show notes, sir. Let's
let's put that in there.
stop hating off the names. Y'all just mad because y'all ain't come up with no names. Stop hating.
I just
He
wish you'd
is-
come up with something a little more realistic.
He's Cal Kestis'
Yeah,
apprentice.
we all
That's
know
what it
you are
is.
clearly dark side, 100% dark side.
No, I am a great Jedi, just like my master Ahsoka.
That's a negative.
So here's this is what Medic said. He wished you could be her apprentice. I think he wishes he's more than an apprentice.
An acquaintance.
An acquaintance, special friend.
Definitely a different lightsaber for sure.
Yeah. Be a lightsaber fight, all right.
just staring at us is creeping me out. I'll take it back. Justin, I hope you get fixed because then I'll bring you back.
Well, who are you, sir?
Hey, who are
I
you?
am Jared. I am just a guy that just hangs out and listens to everybody else talk, and I say incoherent stuff every once in a while. Anyways,
He keeps the ship
we-
going.
yeah, I switch. That's what I do. I switch people, make sure you see them good. Anyways, so we do have some great stuff tonight. Definitely lots of stuff going on this week. In the last few weeks.
Right.
Here it is.
I don't know what happened. I have no idea. It just all stopped.
Just some bad connection.
I got to
So-
make sure I have mine plugged in this week. We're doing good.
So definitely, we were talking, Justin, about this the last few weeks. Lots of stuff going on in our galaxy, our personal galaxy.
Yes.
We've had a lot of friends affected by what's going on. And so, Ace, do you want to say something before the
Sure.
rest of us say anything?
So, we love to do this Star Wars podcast. This is kind of an escape throughout the week. We love talking Star Wars, but we would be remiss if we did not touch on what's actually going on in the world. We know that there has been a series of events that have taken place. We had the death of George Floyd, who had a knee placed on his neck where he passed away. And we're not going to dive too deep into that because obviously there are plenty of outlets out there for you to get information about it. We just wanted to say here at the Marauders podcast that, as you can see, we are very diverse here, and we're brothers. We hang out together. We are family men. We do things together, and we love the way that the creator George Lucas set everything up. We just wish the world would kind of take a stance like the Jedi Council and have, everybody available to be a part of it. If you look at the Jedi Council, there's every race, there's every alien species, there's every color, and they all are there for one purpose, and that's the Force. And, George Lucas has always been, in the forefront of trying to do things before everybody else, making Princess Leia a prominent female character before that was even really established. Lando Calrissian as a prominent black male, being in a prominent position in Star Wars. And as you can see within the Star Wars franchise, that is carried on even throughout the new series. So with that being said, we just want to promote love, peace, and we just want to talk about these movies and enjoy ourselves.
Very well said.
Yep.
That's why. Okay, I give you the title, Ahsoka's Apprentice. Just today, though.
Only this week.
Only this week, man.
Anybody else want to say anything before we go?
I can't. I can't even begin to act like I can speak from the standpoint of what's going on, other than just saying that it takes more to really pay attention. Like it needs to take more of your everyday life to pay attention to what's going on and listen and love and be empathetic, sympathetic for things that you don't understand, but be willing to listen to be part of the change.
Yeah, there's plenty of people out there that want to have the conversation. So it starts with a conversation, because even if you don't agree with everything that somebody is saying, you can try to find understanding within everything people say.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's been my main thing. Is obviously, I mean, I can't speak from that standpoint, but there's so many stories, and there's so much out there, and I've just been taking the time to listen and learn. And do what I can. I mean, there's so many links where we can donate to different causes and whatnot. But get out there and look and listen. And my hope is that something good comes out of all this, and that maybe we can actually make some lasting change. I know this isn't the first time we've done it, but I'm really hoping this leads to change. And it's going to take everybody. It's not one thing. It's going to take absolutely everybody. But I'm behind it. I support it wholeheartedly, and I'll do whatever I can. So. Something's got to change.
And it honestly, we're family here, but it starts at your home with what you do. How you teach your kids, how you teach your
Yes.
family is the change. That's where it starts because your family is where everything comes from. And so, I mean, we always teach our kids that we love everybody. Everybody is worthy. I mean, no matter what your color is, whether you're white, black, Asian, whatever that is, you matter to people. You matter to us. And if you want to have like a full conversation, definitely you could message us or Ace. I mean, Ace has a podcast with Charles. I mean, the Slash Brothers. Definitely go over there, watch them, have that conversation because, I mean, obviously they understand it because they have to live it. We are just trying to learn and follow their example. So
We're just now becoming okay with ginger Jedis, though.
I was going to ask, does that he mentioned a whole bunch of different races, but he did not say ginger. So
That's not a race. Ginger's not a race.
it's not a race.
I shouldn't have made a joke. Not making light of.
You're good, man. There's absolutely no easy way to transition out of that, but you
So I
know,
was trying.
we did want to make that point. So
Yeah.
definitely, yeah. So there
Sweet.
you go. That's where we're at. We love you guys. So, anyways, let's go on to our sponsor first. Definitely want to make sure that we hit our sponsor. Who's our sponsor?
Sonic.
Oh, come on, baby.
It's Sonic.
Number
Hey!
15.
And it's
Hey.
covering up your bad connection.
Good. That's fine. Because it helped me have a good connection today at work. Because I had a number 14 sausage with tater tots and a large ice brew. What did I have? French vanilla ice brew.
Is
That's
that what
it.
you have every?
You know there's a whole
And
menu,
not
right?
every morning. I know there's a whole
You
menu,
can
but
change it up.
it's okay to stick with something you know.
I'm just saying,
You know?
mix it up a little. You know, they have a big
What?
menu.
Okay, I'll get a hamburger tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
That works for
You
me.
should. Because that'll
should.
get you going.
Yeah.
I
Going to the
definitely.
bathroom.
It doesn't matter what time it is. I always get tater tots, chili and cheese. Throw some
Oh, yeah.
jalapenos on there.
Oh, I haven't
that's
had that
all-
with jalapenos.
I always get that no matter what.
Is there
Well,
anything better than half price drinks? Like, there's nothing better than half
Yeah.
price drinks.
Through-
Well, but
through
I'm
the-
never out
through
of
the
work in
app.
time.
Through the app, if you use the app, it's all the time. Did you know that?
Oh, no, I
I
did
did
not
not know
know
that.
that.
It is, yeah. So download the Sonic app, and it actually can find where you're at, and it'll show you. You can pick where you want to get it from, and you can get half price drinks all the time.
Hey, look at that.
That's
Thank
the
you,
way
Sonic.
That's
Thank you,
the
Sonic.
way I do it.
This is why you run the ship, Jared.
Yeah, you keep us all on
It's
track.
because it's our sponsor, and I understand what our sponsor does.
Well, that's good. I'm glad.
Proud of you.
I'm very
But
proud.
thank you, Sonic, for being a sponsor of this podcast.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to start with the gallery. The last episode we had, episode 6, which was what was it called? Anybody remember?
Production? Not production. What was it called? Sort of the P. Anyways, who cares?
It had to
don't
do
know,
with
man.
like the pre-production and actual production of
Yeah.
the episode.
Process.
That's it.
Process.
Process.
That's it.
That's it.
It was a P.
It was a
It
P, guys.
Just though it wasn't PP.
Wasn't no pee on it.
Okay, Shane, you go for it, man. Start.
So this was a really cool episode for me. Obviously, I love storyboard stuff. You can't see around this room, but I've got a bunch of art books and stuff like that. And I love the process of getting to the things we love. And a large part of any show, and a game for that matter, however, whatever you're into, is the storyboard process. The writers write the story, and then the next step after that is they break it down and they do storyboards, which are basically drawings of individual scenes and stuff like this. So this takes us through the storyboard process. And we see the beginnings of the episodes and how they went from the writing to the storyboards. Justin, what was the next step called? You said it earlier.
Are you talking about
So-
previs?
Yes.
Previs?
Yes. So this is something I don't.
Yeah.
It's pretty unique to the way they're using it. We talked a little bit a few episodes ago about them basically using the video game program, but for this series they've been using something
Technology
called
episode.
Yes. Yeah, the technology episode. They've been using something called previs, and they've basically laid out the episodes. They make them in essentially a video game engine. And then using VR, they can go through and they can watch and they can edit and they can do different things before they ever get the actors in the studio. So I think it was. Go ahead.
As I said, the most important thing about using VR when they're in previs is getting the camera angles. And Jon Favreau talked about how he would go in and he could actually move around so you have this world built and you can find out your angles that you want to. That way you're not wasting all this money in post and then you don't like the angle setup and then you have to do the reshoots. But what was really cool was how the previs, and I'll let you finish what you're saying, but how previs is actually the world that Dave Filoni lived in when he was at Nickelodeon doing all of the other stuff that he was a part of Avatar and all that. He lived in the previs world. That's all they do. And so for them to incorporate that and you see that played out here, it was just, I mean, the shots were incredible. I would love this. You would see certain scenes and you're like, oh, I remember that. And then you would see it from just stripped down storyboard animation to the previs with the kind of the looks like a video game and then in the VR world. And so which means Ace, you got that VR. Do you think they're going to release some of these VR episodes? That'd be pretty slick.
Well, I heard there's something actually in the works, a new Star Wars VR game. But we'll get into that a little bit later because you guys actually got to play Vader Immortal. So
did Jared do it?
It was
Jared did not. So we got to get.
I was busy the whole day.
Yeah, we got to get Jared on it.
Okay.
I haven't got to use a lightsaber yet, so that's my next thing. I want to use a lightsaber. So
I thought I was going to be better at that than I was. It's not good.
That's probably not the first time.
I was like fighting like a little Tyrannosaurus Rex arms. It's like no.
it was pretty cool to see the process that they're using. And I think it was Deborah Chow who said that she normally when she does a show, she has 8 days to do the all the pre-production stuff. And she said that she was working 60 days, 2 months before she ever brought an actor into the studio. So using the previs and stuff, she basically had her episode done before they ever brought actors in. They knew what they were going to do. So they bring them in and then they can, like Justin said, they can set those shots up and it's just right there. And then they can overlay it too with the previs stuff. And it's pretty amazing how they have this all laid out. And
John,
I'm assuming, go ahead.
No, you're good.
I mean, I'm assuming it's saving them a lot of money from a production standpoint because they can do so much with this existing software. They know their shots, so there's not a lot of wasted days.
That's what I was going to say. Jon Favreau even alluded to that point to where he's saying even in Iron Man, the reshoots were so important because you already knew what you're going to do. And so you would get in there and you knew the shots that you needed to reshoot. So basically take the standpoint of a finished movie and now you're going to just do reshoots, which they're the primary shots though. But you already know how you want them to look. So you can spend more time on making sure it's exactly how you want that story told. Which I thought was, I mean, it shows the proof's in the pudding when it comes to The Mandalorian.
And they honestly had to, shoot it in that manner. They had to come up with a way because obviously when you're watching Star Wars, you expect to see Star Wars. And just because this is a TV show, we still expect a certain quality. So the fact that them using the screens as the actual place where they shot, so that saved on building sets and different things of that nature. And then, of course, like you said, the previs, the VR, all of that stuff helped to bring the cost down, which then they could produce more episodes. And so we should get more Mandalorian for the future.
I think that the other thing that was cool that just them diving into the things that inspired George Lucas. So when they were watching the samurai movies and the Westerns, I think that was very important for The Mandalorian because that's what, I mean, we all talk about, man, The Mandalorian has that old school Star Wars feel. Like this is what we love. And you go back and listen, they all got inspiration from the same sources that George Lucas went. And it shows, they paid attention.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as far as like, I'm a video guy, so I love seeing the whole backstory of how they go from the beginning of the process to the end, and seeing the whole thing, all the things you hear about. Because obviously, I'm not like in the major movie stuff. I just do my own thing. But seeing the whole storyboard side, and then they basically just kind of throw some of those. And I would imagine the storyboard stuff might have even been Filoni drawing most of that stuff because he can do all that stuff already. That was his thing. But you see all these little storyboards, and they go, okay, well, let's throw this into a little short slide. We're gonna throw some short audio, some maybe some lyrics and stuff that we're gonna throw out later, just to see how it feels. And they go through that whole process, and you actually see some of the episodes and how they look, and it's like, wow, that actually looks really cool. And then they go into the previs part where they're adding all this extra stuff in, and you see the shots that they've done in previs, and then you see the actual shots that came with it with the final, and how close those shots looked.
Yeah.
Like it almost looked perfect for what was going on. And then you see all the extra stuff that they throw on top of that, where like they're in the room where they're, you see the little dots where the people are supposed to die at.
Yeah,
Like
I
it's
thought that
already,
was pretty funny.
it's so intricate in the sense that it's already like this little red dot shows up with a skull on it where this first guy's killed, and then he's fighting, then another dot shows up, and then, but yeah, all that was just really cool stuff to see on the backside, and how far ahead I honestly think Star Wars has always been ahead. I think
Right.
they're always looking
Yep.
forward, and they're always on that next step before everybody else gets there. And this stuff that they're doing right now is ridiculous. People want to do this.
Well, like they said, George Lucas already talked about, trying to basically shoot a movie in his garage. So that's where Star Wars is trying to get to, because I mean, you think about it, the more they can cut costs on being able to do these type of movies at this scale, the more content we're gonna get. And so
Yeah, that's
that
true.
like we said, Bob Iger, his whole thing right now is to build up Disney Plus, and he has to, because you got HBO Max has just dropped. You got, everybody's coming out with an app now, so you have to have that it factor that's going to draw people to it, which a lot of things, like that's why Netflix is so far ahead of everybody else, because of their original content. So I do like the way that Apple has kind of done stuff, because even when they came in, they had a bunch of new content coming in. So that's going to be the key to things, being able to shoot as many shows as possible, as cheap as possible, with as much quality to produce more content.
That's true. Yeah.
And if they can keep this production level up at these costs, I mean, I can't see Disney Plus failing. I mean, The Mandalorian has such a high production value, and I don't know the budget details. I haven't dived that deep, but I mean, it doesn't seem like they had a massive budget. So if you can produce this level of quality in different shows, I mean, it's going to set the bar. I mean, obviously Netflix is ahead of everyone, but they're also not doing it on the cheap. I mean, some of their series are so expensive. And again, I don't know details for Mandalorian, but it sounds like they set their budget and they're doing what they can within those constraints. But this technology gives them so much more capabilities than, say, a random Netflix show. If they're not using these techniques, and you still get the Star Wars feel, for less budget. Obviously they're not spending as much as they spent on 9, so it works, and I think it's a great thing for the future.
It's crazy too to think of just how much technology is advancing. I know that we've all seen the video that Joey had sent us, and he's more the expert on this, but just the graphics engine alone that they're using for the PS5 and some of the newer stuff coming out, I can only imagine what the animation is going to look like in some of these shows that are going to be coming up, which is crazy, because if you think about a show like Clone Wars, it's an animated show, but everything in it is so well done as far as the storyline goes. The animations towards the end of the seasons were really good. Some of the first ones, I mean, you can watch it. You're not going to turn it off, because that's how good the story is. But pairing a great story with a great animation is just going to make it that much more important, to where I think you open up a whole new genre of stuff, like where anime is really huge and you have such a huge following of anime, you could even have your own different kind of computer graphic, whatever, animated stories that could set apart like their own genre that people just follow. That is such a huge following. But if you match it with a good story, and then I think that's where Filoni brings his expertise in. I'm really interested to see what kind of animated stuff we get coming up in the next few years. I bet we get some crazy stuff.
Well, I mean, if you look back to back in the day when we had cartoons, and it was all hand drawn, it was celluloid, where they had to do one, they painted it, they did another one, they took a picture, and that's how they made this. And now we're to the point that they're actually putting suits on and doing the stuff, like the lightsaber
The mocap
battles,
stuff.
all that stuff that we never would have thought about that when we were kids. But kids now are like, all they have to do now is throw the style on top of whatever those things are. Like you said, it could be anime, but they're still doing motion capture anime, and it actually
Yeah.
gives those things more. It gives it more
Realistic.
of a feel of like a person is doing this than somebody's trying to draw what that action is.
And that even goes even further, that if you there's a whole genre of fan made films on YouTube that are starting to incorporate, because everything that these guys are doing, you can pretty much find someone who's figured out how to do it on a super low budget. And so you even mocap, even stuff like that. And if you have someone who's even a little bit good at doing CGI, you can mocap your own movies, and that's what people are doing now. And there's this whole indie genre of fan-made films of some of your favorite things, like even Star Wars. There's some incredible fan-made films of Star Wars that take a story about a Jedi you have no idea who it is, and then you're like, ooh, I kind of want a little bit more of whatever that Jedi is, because that was really good. It's like a chef coming up with a new recipe, then you never heard of him before, but then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I want a little bit more of that. And I think it's awesome. I have a whole playlist on my YouTube of just fan-made films that I've saved, and they're all really good.
I'm so glad Joey's not here, because he sure would have rained on your parade. We're talking about
I hope he does.
another Jedi. You know, lo and behold, there's another Jedi. But
Well,
you know exactly what you were saying, Justin. There's a YouTube channel. I think they're called Film Riot, and they actually break down how to do special effects and stuff like that for amateur filmmakers. So yeah, there's definitely a bunch of content out there to help you to create some fantastic material. What was you gonna say, Jared?
well, I was just gonna say that stuff is it's even like the sound stuff. You used to not be able like to record in your own home. It took thousands and thousands of dollars just to record right in front of yourself with just a couple of things. Now you can spend a couple of $100 and you could build a huge album by yourself if you wanted
Yeah.
to.
When I recorded my album, I spent $600 from beginning to end pretty much to produce my whole album. And that's talking about pressing CDs up, doing my first video for the album, like
Crazy.
artwork, everything, like recording, mixing, mastering. It took $600
And
to
it sounded
do that.
incredible.
Well, I appreciate that, brother.
Access
It is really good.
access is so much easier for everybody now. So those
Look
fan-
at photography.
yeah,
You know, you can. I have an iPhone. I have an iPhone 11 right now, and even some of the brand new Android are even a little bit further ahead of the iPhone. But iPhone 11, you have this incredible 4K. You can do 30 frames per second, 60 frames per second camera, and you can film some of the most amazing
Plug.
things. But I know. Sorry, we're not sponsored by them, but also,
But
you
if they
can
want to.
also but if they
Don't-
want to. But,
Don't worry,
but
I'm Team Android over here, so y'all ain't got to worry
Hey,
about
no,
it.
I was about
I
to
am
say.
too. I'm both camps. I'm both camps. I had an Android forever. I had to get
Pick a side.
Apple for work. I had to do it for work, so I got an
Yeah.
iPhone.
Y'all, he ain't have to do it. He just wanted to.
I
Trust me.
did have to do it.
Mhm.
Okay. Anyways, let's not get into that debate because you will lose. I.
It's not Star Wars.
Also,
Get
what I'm
off
trying
it.
to say is there is a guy that I followed on Instagram who actually created an album using nothing but GarageBand on his phone. All the production, everything. And it was all on his phone, and he's making, I don't know, ton of money. Who knows how much he's making? But he created everything from a phone. So it's like 5 years from now, what is this technology going to look like that lets people who have really good stories, super low budgets, create stuff that you could probably see in the theaters? I mean, we all remember the Blair Witch Project and stuff. You know, super low budget.
But, like even now, this is like by far way past even the Blair Witch stuff.
Yeah, it's true. But
But to bring all that back around, it's those fan made films you're talking about. I've seen some of them, and obviously they're not like complete like Star Wars movies, but they're really short. But the thing is, the style of it, you can still get into it and really enjoy the story and how they did it, and it doesn't look like a Star Trek B movie where
Oh,
everything's
yeah.
like
Joey
all the
would be
little-
so mad if you
all the
said
little
that.
pasty stuff. I love the other thing too. This is Star Wars though, but what I'm saying is, with that access, George Lucas, if he had had this same access, he would be shooting stuff out of his
But let's-
garage just like he wanted to.
We would have had
But let-
12 films if George Lucas had this.
if he had this early, we would have had so many films. We wouldn't know what to do with it.
But let's think about that. If somebody like George Lucas had access to this, would he want to continue to be on the forefront because he has what he needs to produce what he wants? He didn't have any of that. So I think that's what makes him such an innovator as far as a lot of people in the film industry look up to him because of what he did, because he created it out of nothing. There was no of those things. So would you still have that level of quality from George Lucas without, having that?
He's always been about pushing the boundaries. Always.
You think so? I'm just being devil's advocate,
yes.
right?
George Lucas.
I got to put this up.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
We just got our E rating for the day.
my baby cannot say Star Wars for nothing. And if you correct her, she says, "That's what I said, Daddy. Star Wars." I said, "That's what I said." All right. Good job.
You're gonna have to put that on social media.
Yeah. Well, she calls it's Baby Yodo. So
Yoda.
Yeah, not Yoda, but Yodo.
Oh, Yodo.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
That was good.
Hey, and another thing before you change the subject, Jared, in case another little short plug, me, Justin and Shane and Jared shot a small it's like a 5-minute little clip of something, and it took us like 2 hours to shoot, but we shot it in a location, and Shane was the sound man, Jared provided the location, and Justin was the antagonist. It was a great little piece. It was shot by William Brown, but again, we had one, and it was with one camera. Like we did our thing. So the technology is available.
It was a lot of fun, and it looks really good.
I'm ready to do it again.
You need to send me that link. We'll show that before the end of the podcast.
I got you, brother.
Okay,
cool.
Send that link to me. Okay, so while we're doing that, let's go on and do some breakdown of the Attack of the Clones.
Oh, yes.
Down. Go ahead.
Hold on, real quick. Medic had a question real quick. Let's answer this.
Here's a
question. Do you think we will get another big surprise Baby Yoda level when Season 2 of Mandalorian comes out?
I 100% believe that we will. I think that, especially with all the other leaks about what characters will be in this trilogy, be in this series, there is something that they haven't told us. So if they're willing to tell us all of the stuff, or if we're understanding all of the other information that's out there, that means they're hiding something else. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we got a cameo from Luke Skywalker. That's my bold prediction.
Don't tease me. I don't know that we'll have anything that has the same appeal universally as Baby Yoda, but from a Star Wars fan standpoint, I definitely think there's some things under the wrap, and some stuff that's just gonna for the Star Wars fans, it's gonna blow their mind. But from something that will attract anyone, my wife's not a Star Wars fan, but she loves Baby Yoda, and I don't know if you can recapture that magic. Obviously, we're gonna get more Baby Yoda, but what can they do? I just don't know. I don't know if we'll have anything that level.
No, I just think cameos are the key thing. I don't think that we're necessarily gonna get something because again, that is one of the main characters outside of Din Djarin. So,
but you give me a Luke Skywalker cameo, and
I think that
good.
That would be pretty good. You think that I don't think we're going to learn anything new about Baby Yoda in the second season, because we are we are approved for 5 seasons, right? So I don't think that I think we don't even get a species. I don't think we even know where in the world he was created, or where he's even close to being from, an outer rim world or whatever it is. I think that there's going to be a lot of what you said, Ace. There's going to be a lot of cameos in these episodes. I think you're going to have a lot of storytelling. And I think for some people who didn't like some of the filler episodes of the first season of The Mandalorian, I think you're going to have a little bit of that, but it's going to be good storyline. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think what she was asking, though, was it's not necessarily about the child, but is there going to be something of that caliber. Like we're gonna see something new that's gonna come out. That's like, oh my god, I
I don't.
love this.
I still
I
don't
don't
think
think
so.
so. Unless we get a
think so.
baby hut.
I just
Nobody would
still.
want that.
I think we're gonna probably get more
We might.
droids. We might get more droids. I think, like I said, I just think it's gonna be
Yeah.
more characters, but nothing that's going to take away from Baby Yoda. I still think that is still the attraction, because the thing is that with Baby Yoda, I think he's gonna be a little bit older. Like, when I say a little bit older, he's 50. I'm thinking maybe 51, 52. So I'm just saying
51.
By him hanging out with Mando, he's going to develop more of a personality. We're going to be able to see more things that he's capable of doing. He's going to use the Force a little bit more. So I think this was like the first season was like like if you watch Batman and you see the origin story, I think that is something like that. And then in part 2, you see the person like really using all their powers. I think Baby Yoda is going to be something like that.
I think we look forward to some really cool cameos. I think that you have the opportunity for forget the actor's name who does C-3PO, but he's very active lately, which is weird. He's like been really active on Instagram. I think you even get maybe even like a C-3PO R2-D2 cameos. I mean, they could be doing some crazy stuff in this next season.
I'm not sure how you'd work. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Shane. Then I'll talk.
I'm not sure how you'd work in an R2D3 unless you brought in Luke, but I mean, I definitely think we could see a baby Hutt. I mean, Timothy Oliphant's character has one in the books, you know, and he does try and establish it on Tatooine, basically as like a puppet ruler, since, you know, most people are ruled by the Hutts there. So I definitely think we could get a baby Hutt, but I mean, would it have the same appeal as Baby Yoda? I seriously doubt it. I don't think they can recapture that magic. I think you've got to take it and you've got to run with it. And like Ace said, you've got to put cameos out there, and you've got to use this to set up your other series, like Ahsoka and the Rebels characters. Like if that's what you're planning on, if you're planning on giving us other Disney Plus series, then work them into the show, even if it's just an episode or two, and use this to springboard into other shows. I think that's their plan. So give me a Luke and give me a Luke series. I'm sold.
I think with Baby Yoda, they got a cash cow, and they're going to ride that thing for a while.
Especially
because they were so late in the game with putting out toys. So
yeah.
Think about how this Christmas is going to look, especially after you get the second season of The Mandalorian, and now everyone knows about the baby. So it's going to be everywhere. It's going to be hard to get away from that. You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
like it's going to be on everything.
It's going to be everywhere.
If you throw in some of the extra characters, like my wife, probably Shane's wife, those people aren't going to care if they see Ezra or if they see Luke show up.
No.
But the child caught everybody's attention.
Yep.
And I don't know if they'll be able to do that right now with what I think they're going to sit on the child right now and let that roll until it kind of.
That's rude. You don't sit on babies. You're not supposed to sit on kids.
We don't need Ewoks. We do not need Ewoks.
We don't need Ewoks.
We don't. No more Ewoks.
Yeah, my wife would say more Ewoks for sure. Okay, so let's get on to Attack of the Clones. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Attack them.
Attack them. Don't attack us because we're attacking the clones.
Don't.
Okay. So who wants to start out a little bit?
Man, listen, I got notes, so y'all go ahead.
Let's let Ace get started.
Let's just
Well,
start
go
at the
ahead.
beginning.
Let's build off those notes.
Give us a little bit of the beginning. Let's start with that. We'll all talk about that.
All right. So obviously in episode 2, Anakin is going to see Padme again for it's been over 10 years, a little over 10 years. And also there is a big vote that's about to happen in order to, because there are a lot of people leaving to become separatists or leaving the Republic. And so the thing is that they're trying to get as many votes as they can to try to save that. And so one of the leading votes would be Padme. And so she comes into town and basically her decoy gets killed. And so Palpatine, which I believe is a part of his ultimate plan of everything, assigns Jedi to her, and in order to make her comfortable, she puts people around her that she's already familiar with, which that would be Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin. And so some of the dynamics are things that's in my notes that I put. So you have this dynamic between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin, where Obi-Wan is trying to be like a father figure to Anakin, and Anakin is like rejecting that whole thing, because in his mind he's like, well, I'm almost equal to you. As a matter of fact, I feel like I'm better than you. And so you kind of see that play out throughout the movie. But yeah, Obi-Wan is talking down to him like a lot in this movie. And so yeah, that's kind of where the movie kind of opens.
Well, the very first thing that actually sets that up is Padme is coming back because of the council thing, not the council, but the Senate.
The Senate vote,
they were going to do the vote, and the first thing that happens is she has a decoy, and the decoy gets killed by an assassin. So that's what's set up actually with Obi-Wan and Anakin coming back. So already he's got all that's going on, like you're talking about, Ace, where he's kind of being, well, it's more Obi-Wan at that point. He's not that old, so he hasn't had that much experience in general, and he's trying to teach a kid that's maybe 10 years younger than he is, and that's hard for, I mean, even now, a kid that young listening to somebody that's only 10 years older, they're just like, I don't get it. Everything you're saying is you're just yelling at me. I don't hear anything other than you're yelling at me.
Well, so it's kind of interesting because, you know, here it is that Obi-Wan Kenobi is very structured. Like, he is one that's kind of by the book with the council. Like, what they say matters to him. And he came from where he was trained. He was trained under Qui-Gon Jinn, who was very much a person who did not necessarily follow the rules of the Jedi Council to a T. And now he's training somebody who is not following the Jedi rules. So it's an interesting dynamic because me and Shane read the book of A Master and Apprentice, and that was Obi-Wan's thing. Like, he's very structured by the book, and he's got this master who's kind of all over the place, and he wanted so much to get away from that, and now he's training somebody that's the same way.
Which speculatively, do you think that Obi-Wan was the wrong master for Anakin?
Absolutely not.
No. He was most definitely the right master.
I think the structure of him helped him not go so. I mean, obviously, if he goes way out of bounds eventually, but I mean, at the beginning, I don't think so. But I think there is something there in the fact that he saw Qui-Gon as a dad, but he sees Obi-Wan as a brother.
Right, and then
and you fight with brothers. I mean, you don't. There's not much civil there. Times.
It just tripped me out because, like, even that first meeting. So after they're, when they're meeting with Padme for the first time, and they're having that conversation, and Obi-Wan's kind of laying out what's going on, and then Anakin's like, "But why?" And he's like, "You need to stay in your place, bro. Like, grown-ups are talking. I need you to chill out." Like, it was just the way he was talking to him. That whole movie was just crazy. And like I said, it's like Obi-Wan looked at him like, "I'm your father," and Anakin's like, "Nah, you my brother, bro." Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Shane,
but that opening scene. I mean, first off, he spent 10 years fantasizing about Padme, so you know right away where that's headed. I mean, they're on the elevator ride up, and he's already talking about her. And Obi-Wan knows it too. I got no issues with that. I mean, but Obi-Wan knows it too. I mean, you see from the beginning, like that's all he's been focused on. Yeah, he's been doing his Jedi training, but Padme's always been there, and he's restless. And Obi-Wan even tells him then, like, you need to control yourself, like, control your emotions, and like that's when we get some of the great commentary from the two. And just I think it's really interesting that like from the beginning, that's what he was focused on. And it was a distraction, and we don't know to what degree, but how much did that influence where his development and whatnot. Like, like, why Padme? Why fixate on Padme? I mean, he had to have met others. It's just interesting that there's a connection because Padme was quite a bit older than him. I mean, we see in episode 1 he's a kid, so it's always been an interesting connection to me, that would have stayed on. And even when Padme meets him, like, she remembers. I don't know that to the same degree that he did, but it's just always an interesting dynamic to me.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I had a bold prediction about that. I honestly believe that Palpatine is the one that bridged those two together, like that made them infatuated with one another. Because the reason why I say that is because, like you said, what other way are you gonna pull Anakin, right? His mother dies, so that's tying into the emotions of a connection. So once that happens, there's nothing else that he can get him on. You can't best him as a Jedi because his skills are just top, bar none. Then what else are you going to get him on? And so the problem is because the Jedi, and to begin with, they allowed Anakin to hang out with Palpatine. If you notice, when they sent him to go to talk to Palpatine, Palpatine's like, he kept saying, "Oh, they finally gave you an assignment," like as though they talk all the time. And so it's like, y'all already was jacked up on that. And so the thing is that after talking to him, I'm sure as a kid on 10 years later, he's mentioned Padme. So again, if Palpatine has been orchestrating this stuff from the beginning, right? He then puts Padme in danger. Well, who cares about Padme? Anakin. So the thing is that he's like just setting them up. And then if you notice, Palpatine is making the suggestions like, yeah, you should have extra security. Okay, well, yeah, you should get out of town for a little while. Why don't you take a Jedi with you? Like all of those things. And he is just puppet mastering all of that stuff, bro.
Because Palpatine understood more about the Jedi than I think most Jedi understood about themselves. Even just talking about the religion part, he understood that they can't let emotions get involved in any bit. So if he were to get to Anakin way early, and he knew how to do that because emotion was attached to Padme, but then even more so, he knew that to the Jedi Council, Palpatine wasn't going to seem threatening, like Palpatine as a person, because he's the high, senator, he's the dude. So that's an easy assignment for a young training Jedi to becoming a master, is now that you're taking care of a high ranked official. So it was brilliant when you really think about the whole scheme of things that Palpatine put together. And it's why he was one of the greatest chess master. You know? Well,
I mean, Yoda even acknowledged it in the movie. He said, because when they very first found out about the clone army, right? And both Mace Windu and Yoda were looking at each other like, how did we not know this? And then Windu was like, well, we might as well tell the Republic, man, we've lost our ability to notice anything. And Yoda's like, no, only the dark side of the Force knows our weakness. And he said that if we tell everybody now that we messed up, instead of having that one enemy, now we've created a bunch of enemies. So they acknowledge the fact that, the dark side is winning right now.
And what a huge misstep sending Anakin with Padme. Like, what a giant misstep from the Jedi standpoint. You send how old is he there? 19? You send a 19-year-old kid off with a single 20-something-year-old? Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean,
Obi-Wan had to know. Obi-Wan had to know.
Obi-Wan
did know. He
right. And Obi-Wan's just like, go for it. Here, go to a romantic island and go have picnics and run around with the big cows. Like, come on, man.
I think Obi-Wan agreed to that because there were so many other pressing things going on. Like, number one, you get Anakin out the way, right? And you get Padme out the way. Now they can focus on the bigger threats especially because they actually had a lead on who was actually threatening her life. So so the thing is, it's kind of like the less of two evils, right? Because all the other Jedi are spread out doing stuff, which is another thing which I think is a part of Palpatine's plan. If you notice, the reason why the Jedi missed out on so many things like the army and this, that, and the other is because of the fact he always had them doing other things. Even in the Clone Wars, right? when we were watching the Clone Wars, right when they were getting to that point where they were like, okay, we got the siege of Mandalore about to jump off and we need people. And then they get a call like, yo, Palpatine just got captured. We need y'all to go do this. Oh, and by the way, Grievous is over here. We need y'all to go get him. Like every single time they had stuff going on, they all had things going on and they were so spread thin that they couldn't even focus on the little things. Because one of the things that got me in the movie, right? Because the Jedi didn't know about the clone army. So then if the Jedi didn't know about the clone army, then Palpatine's like, once Jar Jar Binks gives them emergency power, what does Palpatine say? Oh, we need a bigger army. It's like, well, so if he knew about the army and y'all didn't know about the army, how can y'all not put that together that he's the Sidious? Like, I just don't get that.
Because
and I think that Yoda knew that. I think that Yoda knew for a while. And I think that it was like that whole what really truly balances the Force. You know, what does that mean? Allowing things to play out how they play out, or is it intervening? You know, how do you balance the Force?
Well, that's another thing watching this. Go ahead, Shane. I got another point. Go ahead.
When Obi-Wan finally he finds out, you know, where the dart came from, he goes to Kamino and he talks with him and they welcome him. Welcome, Master Jedi, we've been waiting, and he's confused. And then they tell him Master Sifo-Dyas had already ordered a clone army. Like, that should have been a red flag to the Jedi, because Master Sifo-Dyas, if you go back and you read the books, he is more of a straight line Jedi. He was one of the masters, really close with Qui-Gon. And if you really read the books, you see how much Palpatine manipulated him. I think you see a lot of that in the Darth Plagueis book, how Palpatine manipulated him and started planting the seed, like, hey, do you see these problems happening in the galaxy? The Jedi need to do something. We need an army. And eventually, after a lot of work, Palpatine goes to him and directly and says, you know, you should go to Kamino and create this army. And that's what Sifo-Dyas does. He does it on the secret and doesn't tell anybody. And then Palpatine has him eliminated after he does that, so he can't tell the Jedi who manipulate him. But you think the Jedi, that would have been a major red flag when you see another master creating an army of clones. That should have been the flag that triggered, you know, that should have been a major warning, like, time out. What instigated this? Why would someone disregard the council and go create an army of over 1 million clone soldiers?
Well, that's the thing, though. By the time they found out, he was already dead. Like the way Obi-Wan kind of explained it, it doesn't even sound like he died and there was like some mystery behind it. It sounded like he died in battle or something. You know what I'm saying? It didn't sound like it was a so.
They knew that it was an assassination.
But then,
well, he got shot down.
But then after that, though, right after they say something about Sifo-Dyas, they talk about Tyrannus, and it's like, you know, that's not a Jedi. So it's like it just. But you know, watching this movie over again, and Yoda's one of my favorite characters. He's probably 2 or 3, but he disappointed me so hard in this movie. Oh my gosh! Because here's the thing, right? Yoda sensed Anakin killing the Sand People.
Yep.
I mean the people that had his mom.
Yeah.
The Sand People.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
Sand People.
Then he sensed the conversation between Anakin and Obi-Wan when Padme fell off the jet, and they were arguing back and forth because he wanted to like jump off the jet, and he's like, look, bro, me and you gotta go fight Dooku. You gotta snap out of it. Like and Yoda sensed all that, and he never said nothing to Anakin. I'm like,
leads me to believe that Yoda knew about all of the things that were playing out, but how do you intervene? What is truly balancing the Force? Because if you look at as far as one of the greatest Jedi who understands the Force, Yoda is, I feel like, the top echelon of the one who really truly understands the workings of the Force. So do you intervene and give it free will, or do you play, or do you know?
I think part of it was him trying to allow Obi-Wan to step in and be the master, because it makes Obi-Wan a better master if he can then in turn help Anakin guide him through it. So I see that, and I also believe, and I'm gonna let you talk, Shane. I think too that Yoda is, like you said, that upper echelon of a master Jedi, to where he's on the same level as Sidious. And so I just think that he senses so many things that he honestly has to turn his mind off at times just so that he can breathe. Because it's like because if you notice, when whenever they put the camera on Yoda and he's just sensing this, sensing that, he was one of the first ones to sense the Order 66 stuff. And so it's just like his brain, he's consumed with so much that he has to honestly turn. It reminds me of the movie What Women Want, like just constantly hearing all of those voices and trying to just tune it out for a moment. That's what I feel like Yoda went through. What was you gonna say, Shane?
So I disagree with Justin when he says that Yoda knew what was going on. Yoda
Don't
knew
ever
there was a
disagree
problem.
with me. Ever.
Yoda knew there was a problem. He says it a couple different times. He talks about the future being clouded and how there's like a haze, and they know that there's a Dark Lord out there. They just don't know what he's doing. So it's like you said earlier. He has the Jedi. He has the Jedi so confused and so running around doing so much stuff. And this is why I've always said the Jedi failed. The Jedi overextended themselves. They lost sight of their mission, and they basically became the police force of the Galactic Republic. And they're running around doing all these things. They're not focusing on what they're supposed to be focusing on. So Yoda's worried about, like you said, he's worried about everything. He knows something's going on, but he sees things a little too late. Like, the clone army is already created. Okay, that's a big mystery. Let's figure out why. But wait a minute, we can't do that because the Clone Wars just started. And now our Jedis are becoming generals. So Yoda knows there's a problem, but he doesn't have the time to sit down and figure it out. And it's like you said, he senses what Anakin's doing, but does he have the time to sideline Anakin? Does he have the time to tell Obi-Wan, hey, I'm going to take you guys out of the rotation so that we can figure out what's going on with your Padawan? Like, no. He has conversations with Obi-Wan. When we see him walking and they're talking and stuff, but they're always brief conversations. Like, I feel like he doesn't want to interfere in the master and apprentice relationship because, they don't for the most part. But They don't really have the time to investigate and to deep dive these things. And I think that's where the Jedi failed, is if they had stopped and taken the time and stopped being so stretched thin, maybe the war goes badly, but maybe they figured out beforehand and they're able to stop Palpatine.
Well, I think
that even leads into a little bit more of what Palpatine's play and everything was. If you have somebody you're trying to control, how do you control them? Give them a different purpose. So now he gave them, now they're generals. Now they feel like they have this importance to the galaxy to become the police without understanding that, hey, we're becoming the police in this situation. It's another beautiful play by Palpatine if you really think about it.
Well, to get into that, they Obi-Wan and Anakin have that conversation when they're very first taken up. Like, he promises Padme that we're gonna find out who is after you, and Obi-Wan's like, you can't promise her that. Like, well, that's not our job. It's like, what do you mean that's not our job? Like, if we're here to protect her, I think being a detective is part of that. It's like an underlining thing. Like, so again, that's that whole thing what you were talking about, Justin, as far as like how their stuff is changing. And that's what I mean by Yoda. So Yoda was trying to keep structure with the Jedi Council. That's why he stopped Mace Windu from going to tell the Republic what was going on. Like, no, that's internal business. They don't need to know that. We need to fix this within. And so same thing like you were saying, as far as like not interfering with Obi-Wan being a teacher, because he's giving him the opportunity to do it the right way. Because you go about it, you be a teacher. If you have issues, you bring that stuff to the council so that we can discuss it as a council. So Yoda was trying to keep structure. But as we fast forward into the movie a little bit, man, we move into the like I said, Anakin is off with Padme, and we have Obi-Wan off. We kind of talked about him going to Camino. He meets an old friend. They found this poisonous dart, and he kind of gives him direction. But one of the key scenes within that is Obi-Wan is looking for the planet, and he can't find it. And so he actually goes to Yoda, and the younglings tell him, like, somebody removed it. And so one of the key things Yoda says is, I'm going to have to go off and meditate on this. So we get all of that. We kind of talked about all that. I wanted to jump into where we talked about Padme and Anakin. Again, the reason why I believe that Palpatine was a big factor in forcing these two together, kind of like how we saw in the new trilogy where Rey and Kylo were kind of connected. I think he forged that bond between Anakin and Padme because in the beginning, she wasn't thinking about him like that, like Shane said earlier. But now we get to her home planet where she's and even the queen asked her, well, what are you going to do? And she's like, oh, we're going to go off and in this. I know a place that we can chill out in this nice secluded area with nothing but flowers and meadows and all of this stuff. Did y'all watch and see what this girl was walking around wearing?
Yep.
We know somebody that did.
Yeah.
Yep. What can I say, guys? I know what she was wearing.
If you got the action figure.
I'm a Padme fan.
If y'all didn't notice, the girl Padme had all these backless dresses. She was having these, like, she was wearing all these little lacy nighties. Then they had like a candlelight meal. They're having a conversation.
Ace, can I just say thank you, George Lucas, real quick? Thank you, George Lucas.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
This is what gets me right.
We can thank him for Princess Leia too.
They have. That's a true point. I see you, George. I see you, George. So they just having this candlelight dinner, and Anakin's professing his love to her, and she's just like, nah. But yet still, she got on this backless dress. You just had a candlelight dinner with me. I done fed you fruit with the Force.
The Force.
Look, guys, does it get any smoother than that? Hang on, let me feed you with the Force. Come on, man. Come on.
And so, what was you expecting this kid? I mean, this young man to do? Like you putting all of this energy around me, and you think I'm not gonna act on it? Like, girl,
like
you know I got
let's
the
talk
fight
about
over here.
They should have sent Yaddle.
Oh God. Let's talk about the hero complex that he gave. Sorry, if you hear those drums, my son's playing drums downstairs. Let's talk about the hero complex that he gave Anakin, and in that he gave him the hero complex by sending Jango Fett to kill Padme and failed attempts, but gave him the ability to look like the knight in shining armor to her. So now I think that really was a big push. I don't think Jango Fett was ever told to actually assassinate her. I think maybe Palpatine knew that he was a bad shot. So, it's like, this is a bad
Palpatine wanted her dead.
Yeah, he wanted her dead because her vote was important. And he sent another bounty hunter to do the job, and she missed twice. That's why she got killed.
He just got bad people. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Stormtroopers can't hit anyone into it. It's the will of the Force, guys.
I know, and look at who we cloned. Let's see, what did we clone after? What were the clones? Were after Jango Fett, right? Those are all the clones.
Yeah.
Yes, and he can't shoot it and hit anything either. So there's no. I wonder if he was like a million clones deep, and then he saw like the Jango can't shoot, and he's like, "Dead." Of course, I picked the one guy that can't shoot anything.
Yeah, they kept trying to improve him. Even that old girl said it at Camino that they, after a number of batch, they made some changes. But this is another thing, another, yeah, that's right, a bad batch. Another thing.
Oh, my favorite guys right there, man.
Bro, Dooku sat there and told Obi-Wan everything.
Everything.
He told him everything. Did Obi-Wan go back? Did Obi-Wan go back and tell anybody? No, because you remember, Mace Windu didn't find out Sidious was Sidious and until Anakin told him in Revenge of the Sith. And so it's just like, bro, you had all the information. Dooku told you. And you basically told him, well, I don't believe you. Okay.
Yeah.
Too distracted playing army. Too distracted playing general.
He was too distracted by the fact that he thought that he was being like
he thought he was lying to him.
Yeah. He just thought you're a Sith now. You're just trying to get me to come to your side.
Yeah. He's just trying to get him on his side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's say if I ever hear anything kind of juicy, and I'm like, I come to my boys and go, hey, did you ever think about this? Like, this guy told me this stuff over here, and I don't know if that's true or not. And then everybody goes, well, then that kind of lines up with the story that this guy told me.
We have
maybe.
Have you ever seen Obi-Wan talk to anybody else on purpose? Unless he had to.
Talk to Satine.
Other than Satine
on purpose.
But what I'm saying is he always reported to the council. If you classically look at Obi-Wan Kenobi, even in this movie, when he first found out about the droid army, what did he do? He called back. When he got to the place where he chased down Jango Fett, what did he do? He called back. Like, that's his thing. So the thing is that you mean to tell me that Count Dooku just told you about Darth Sidious and what the plan is, and you ain't tell nobody?
Guys, we have to think about what happens immediately after that. Okay, he gets told all that stuff, and then they're chained to the poles out there. Again, thank you, George Lucas. we get the cool little fight scene where they fight the bugs and whatnot, and then what happens? The Jedi come in, and this is just one of the coolest endings to a Star Wars movie. That whole sequence. This sequence is awesome.
Yes.
You get all the Jedi come in, and then the Jedi take a beating. I know that they win the battle, but if we look at the amount of lightsabers, we don't see individual Jedi. We see the lightsabers for the most part on all the tiers. And then, as that battle goes on, we see, maybe 100, 150 Jedi in there. And then at the end of it, there's just a ring of like 20 or 30 Jedi when they get surrounded before the clones come. So I think we don't know, what was the level of distraction. So yeah, he got told all that stuff, and he's trying to convert him to the dark side. He's telling him to join him. And then they lose a huge portion of the Jedi. They take a beating. So, friends and colleagues, so all that happens. Yes. Yeah, this part.
Think about what it is to. Now we just got discontinued.
Yeah.
Think about what it is to lose one Jedi. Losing just one Jedi is huge. It's huge to the entire Clone War.
But here's the thing. I'm not saying that he had to tell them within that movie. All I'm saying is, since that time, before 3 started, the whole Clone Wars happened. He done got a haircut by then. He done been messing around with your girl from
old girl.
This is why the Jedi don't let you date, guys.
He just came out of his quarantine.
Right. Then
look at all this. You got all this pent up rage inside of all these Jedi. Let them have some girlfriends.
Well, if you read Master and Apprentice, somebody has an answer to how you're supposed to do it. So you need to read Master and Apprentice. That he has a strict guide on how he gets around that rule. So
and there were plenty of Jedi that had girlfriends. Plenty of them.
Yeah, they had girlfriends, and again, people just overlooked that stuff because they went around the rule. They had a clear step on how not to do it. So. The thing is, man, it's one of those things. Like it's just interesting that obviously we're watching this knowing what's going to happen on the other end, but it's still great to analyze these things as far as like knowing these steps that happen because and then what do? The Jedi just utterly messed up. Like it goes back to that question I asked in an earlier podcast. Like, are the Jedi the real villains here because of the fact that they had the opportunity? Like they are the reason for the fall of the galaxy. They're
not the reason. They were just easily played. I don't say easily. It took 1,000 years. It took 1,000 years.
Shane, the reason why.
Thank you. Look at that. Look at that. Jared, just pause it. Go back and pause it.
Y'all talking about? Go pause it on Mace. Is that what you're talking about?
God bless Padme. God bless Padme.
The reason why.
Look how few Jedi are left. They got massacred.
They did.
It tripped me out on how easy it was for Jango Fett to shoot that one Jedi that was climbing up on the thing. I'm like, bro, you mean to tell me you ain't go to blocking school? You got the younglings back at they back there practicing.
We didn't fly in the A team, okay? We flew in like the guys who are sweeping the floors. Okay, no offense to people that sweep the floors.
I played that game on the VR. That blocking is a lot harder than it looks.
That's why they start you out young.
Justin would definitely be the B team. Okay.
They start you out at River. They start you out at River and Charlie's age learning how to do that.
Yeah,
bro.
That's what they have to. Whenever they get to the point on Order 66 where the girls like just get like shot up, and she like dies. That's me. That was me trying to play the VR game.
Yeah,
guys, as much as I love Padme, like 50 to 75 Jedi, maybe more, die in this scene, and the one person who doesn't have a lightsaber doesn't have a scratch.
Yeah, but she was doing other stuff. She was driving the
she's over here killing animals, and we got Jedi who can't kill a droid. That's not a good look.
I'm just saying, man, like one of the greatest. I love all of those lightsabers in there, bro. That is just incredible.
Yeah,
one of the coolest scenes. And then we get one of the worst lightsaber fights.
I disagree with you on that, bro. It was an homage to 2 fights. It was an homage to the fight between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Vader, and then it was an homage to the Return of the Jedi fight where they showed the silhouettes of the two, and you just saw the lightsabers. And the thing is this, right? You just had, like you said, one of the greatest scenes with lightsabers. You can't then have double down and have this epic because again, these first 3 stories are building to that the close of that trilogy, which is Revenge of the Sith, where you have incredible lightsaber fights through that whole movie.
Hold on. He made it.
Oh!
Hey!
You're just in
Right here at
time
the end.
to see the last of.
Yeah, we're just ending.
Well,
So-
we started 8:30, right? I just thought it was a little late.
Well, I told him you were 12
7:30.
parsecs away, so you must have been about 30 parsecs away, bro.
I see.
He was Mr. Blister, showing
Yes, he
up
was-
when the hard
he
work
was
done.
Mr.
Three
Blister.
pour cups in. He forgot what time we start.
Yeah, we're carrying it.
So,
Well,
did you
I
watch
would
any
say,
while
what's
you
in
were
the Ford
driving?
Cup?
You probably shouldn't watch while you're driving. Never mind.
I was
That's
just
bad.
eyes
That's bad.
glued while I was driving. I actually did stop. I was hungry. I did stop at Sonic.
Hey, there we go. Put it up there. Yeah.
Zoom in. There you go. Put that
It's
logo in there.
Kennesaw.
Is it? It's reverse, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Cue Sonic.
Thank you, Sonic, for sure.
Yeah.
So, we're basically down to the end. So, do you have any input on Attack of the Clones? So far, we've talked about young teen angst and the fact that he was put with a young lady with backless shirt or
That
backless
sounds like a
dresses
Jedi
and-
name. Young Ting
My-
Angst.
Young teen
My-
angst.
What I
It's a
took
new
from this thing
DJ
is
rapper.
I took that Shane is in love with Amidala.
We
That's
could,
what
yeah,
I-
we
That's
could
accurate.
we could put up a picture
Oh,
of her
yeah.
and just leave it up there for him.
That's accurate.
Yo,
We got her
a
fig-
bad
her action
obsession.
figures.
Do you have that? Does your wife have that costume at home?
No,
You
she
make
does
her put
not.
it on?
Yeah, let's
I've
let's,
never,
yeah, let's
I have
stay
never
away
asked
from
my
that.
wife to wear a costume. So,
Just saying.
17 years of marriage, and I have never asked her to wear a costume. But maybe.
I'll send it over to your house.
Is it going to be new? Make sure it's still in the plastic. I don't want a used costume.
Wow. You show up and this goes off the rails. What's in the
started it
cup?
for-
He
What's in
started
the
it.
cup?
Bring it.
It is for
Sonic
children, I guess.
It
Good.
is. It is from Sonic. It is a lime. It's a lime. It's a limeade slush.
Ah, my favorite.
Oh.
So Shane, you were talking about this lightsaber fight, bro. Did you?
Okay, so
Go ahead.
Okay, so this is my thing: is you get that really cool scene with all the Jedi in the arena, and this is coming off one of the coolest lightsaber fights we've ever had in Episode 1. And so we know what the potential for lightsaber fights are now, because look, we didn't have these kinds of epic lightsaber battles in the first 3 films. The technology wasn't there. So me personally, I'm a lot younger. I'm coming into this movie like I've already seen all this cool stuff. We got the clone army and like crap's blowing up. We got Jedi everywhere. And we get into that room and we get the silhouettes and the shadows for the first 90% of the fight until Yoda comes in. And that's my thing, is just the expectations for me were really, really high coming into that lightsaber fight. I mean, I was expecting just like Episode 1 repeated. And
See,
I
but that's your fault though, because you had the expectation of that. The thing
well,
is
excuse me for being a kid who was expecting a lightsaber battle.
No,
but not
this is what I mean. You're talking about George Lucas, who is still directing these lightsaber fights. And so the thing is that Dooku is old. If you notice, the older people got, the more that they didn't really do all the special stuff. Like Dooku is old and experienced, and then you got Anakin, who's just like all over the place trying to do stuff. So see, that's the moment where they were having that fight. They were having that argument about going back to pick her up, and they had that, and Yoda sensed all of that.
Yeah, so Jared,
Let's tell
back it up.
Shane Jackson it was the Force. That's how we knew that he was watching Episode
Jared,
1
if
right
you
now.
back that up to when Anakin fights Dooku, that's where we see most of the shadowing and stuff like that. And it's just a weird transition for me. Like I was just expecting something different.
I guarantee you that was a reshoot, because they had to do something, like they were close to the end of the thing, and it just was real weird, like you said, to just get that little montage of fighting. But and see, that's again, look, Anakin trying to run over there and be rambunctious, and then his him being experienced just put him out. And so that's the thing. Dooku didn't have to do all the cool stuff because he was just so experienced with doing stuff.
Yeah, and you see the Obi-Wan tells him specifically, "Don't run in. We got to do this together." What does he do? I got this.
His head ain't there.
He's still a kid.
I mean, yeah, but still,
He might.
he's a
I
Jedi.
mean, he's 19, but he's still a kid.
And it had a payoff too, y'all. I mean, because you remember in episode 3, he was like, "Oh yeah, my powers have doubled since the last time, bro. Like, and I got a new hand. Like, hey."
It does suck for somebody who's supposed to be one of the greatest duelists of all times in the Jedi Order that we didn't really get to see a great fight with him. Yeah, he's awesome. He's experienced and he does what he needs to do here, but it's just, and then in the next time we see him, he just gets owned by Anakin.
This is all the dark that you're talking about, Shane.
Yeah, and
to me, it's the homage to the Return of the Jedi right there.
No,
And
but this part, I just it doesn't look good.
I'm just saying he's supposed to be one of the best, and it doesn't. It's not as good as it should be for him being one of the best duelists.
It's literally me standing in a dark room,
who should be one
twirling
of the
a
best?
lightsaber over my head.
Dooku, right?
Dooku.
Dooku was, yeah. Dooku's
one of the best.
Literally considered
One of the best duelers.
Yeah,
Yes.
with a lightsaber. Yeah.
he
That
is
is
one of the
what I'm
most
saying is,
powerful.
But here is where people freaked out.
Well, you said it like I didn't know what I was talking about.
no, I didn't say that at all. What did I say?
Well, you were like, "What'd you say?" Like I
No,
didn't.
I
know
was
what
trying to
talking
hear. I
about.
was
I
trying
do
to
know what I'm talking about.
No, I was trying to understand who you said was the duelist, bro. I asked the question I wanted to know.
Guys, can we just enjoy Yoda for a second? Like,
What?
come on.
Is he combing his
Come
hair?
on.
He's in here.
That's right. It's over his head.
Wrong direction.
He's mad that he doesn't have hair for his head.
Yeah.
That was a
So
low
this-
blow.
We've seen like Yoda like carrying stuff and lifting stuff up, but when he goes to this part, we're getting almost there. We'll keep talking, but when he pulls that lightsaber out, I'm sure that a lot of you guys watched this in the theater, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, I remember.
The whole
I remember everybody
theater.
freaking out.
yeah, everybody was screaming and
This
yelling.
part.
But did you see how he walked in like a boss though? Like his shadow entered before he even got there.
Look at this. He just absorbs force lightning. He just absorbed it.
Yeah, he basically just told Dooku like, bro, you ain't nothing.
Now he was Dooku's master, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
My chin's
He's-
bigger than yours.
You always be the Padawan. Look at this. Just
And
I
then,
mean, pulling your own hilt with the
Now,
force off your
this
side.
was. I remember going to the movie, and this was the part. It was like we were all cheering. This was the
Yes.
coolest part.
Yeah,
And it was like, okay, this movie's good.
you've never seen him
After
move
I
this
saw
fast.
Yeah.
I mean, you finally get to see what all the hype is with Yoda, like for real. And this is when he's 800 and whatever.
Yeah.
Could you imagine him when he's 600? Oh,
like when we
I
like in the
hope-
High Republic.
I
Oh,
hope that
don't
we do
tease
get
me.
a Yoda. I hope we get Yoda in the High
I
Republic.
feel like they're gonna blow it and not put him in there.
If
They
don't,
better.
dude, I'm done with the High Republic.
Yoda's got to be in there. Oh my god, a young Yoda.
I'm calling Papa Dave myself. Be like,
Papa
yo, bro, you better put that Yoda in that High Republic.
If Yoda's not in it, then we know what the issue is. Kathleen Kennedy got a hold of it.
Did y'all notice that in the when Yoda was fighting Dooku, one of the things like once he was like you at the dark side, he ain't had no issue at all trying to kill him. Like you remember how Obi-Wan was like, I can't kill Anakin. It's like, bro, you gotta go
Yoda's
get
like,
him.
I will slay everybody.
Yeah, he was like, look,
Yoda doesn't play games, man.
we don't
When
because
the Order 66? Who's out there
Yo, how
hacking
do you
off
think
heads,
the-
man?
How do you think those classes of younglings start out probably like 50 deep, and then they only had like 10 at the end when they were like 4? Yoda's like, nope, that was bad. Nope, that was bad. Nope, that was bad.
I don't think Yoda was killing younglings, but
And
We don't know. They don't have a
Remember-
movie about that.
Remember Yoda and Obi-Wan, man, they were ready for Luke just to kill Vader. Just kill him. It's done. Just
Yeah,
forget
that's
about
what they told him.
it. Just kill him.
Hey, Shane Jackson, it probably popped up because you know how Facebook watches you. That's what it is.
And
That's what
we watch
it
you.
knew. It knew you were watching episode 1, and it's like Facebook sees you.
can I just say
Go
what a
on,
cool name,
watch
Shane
episode
Jackson?
2.
a pretty cool name.
I'm really digging that name.
Action Jackson.
Action Jackson.
I'm focused more on the first part, but whatever. It's cool.
Well, nobody cares about anybody
Yeah.
with that name.
Well, let's,
Way to get followers there, Justin.
Let's get. To
You can get all the Shane
yeah,
followers. That's fine.
Let's get all the Shanes. So let's get to the end of this. So
Let's
we've
do it.
had this huge battle. Dooku is flown the coop. He's ran off, and so here's our ending. We have this giant army that is at full capacity now, and we are just sending them out.
Familiar shot.
With
spreading
Jedi
us
generals.
thin. And
Look
then
at that.
Here we go.
Brought back in
Oh, there it is.
young teen angst.
Look,
There we
see,
go.
this whole time she was trying to get his attention, she had all the backless dresses on. Now she got on the full dress.
Well,
I do agree with you, Maud, earlier when you were talking about the stuff she was wearing.
Yeah.
She was, she was wearing that stuff when he was a little kid too.
Hey, it's Grievous. Was it?
that's not.
He's like grabbing lightsaber. Oh, it's just.
He grew up.
He's
Guys,
like, I'll take that.
Did we forget to mention the single greatest line in any Star Wars film? I hate sand. It's coarse and it's rough and it gets everywhere.
Heard it. Yep.
It's coarse and it's rough and it gets everywhere. Greatest line ever written for Star Wars.
Fonduing. Jared, you need to get your kid. They're fonduing.
Jared, I think you need
That's
to have a
cheesy line.
Uh,
Pretty easy.
I don't even
cheesy
think
line.
I don't even know if he gets it. I'm trying to figure that out or not. Anyways, so we've definitely this was a good episode.
Good
Attack of the
episode.
Clones. Joey, I'm glad you finally made it. I'm glad you
Appreciate you
for sure.
showing up.
Showing up, creating chaos, and then leaving.
So for all those that are
Stir the
still
pot and
sticking around,
Stir the pot. I gotta go. See y'all later.
everybody that's still sticking around or watching this later, thank you for being here with us. We love doing this. We're just a bunch of guys talking about Star Wars family. That's what we are. So, hope
Hey,
you
are we
enjoyed
gonna
it.
try to do a live together episode next week?
No,
I-
we say that every time. We don't ever stop.
Yeah,
It's not happening.
yeah. We'll just surprise people with it. How about that?
Not
All
happening.
right, fine, whatever. Fine.
Bold prediction.
Fine. I want to do it though. I want to do a big one. We're all together.
That's what she said.
Okay.
It's time to push that
Okay.
end button.
All right, hit the end button. We're out of here. This is the Marauders podcast.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you guys for being with us. Yeah, for sure. We love you guys. Be here next
Love
week.
y'all.
7:30. Take it easy.
7:30. I was telling Joey, so he remembered.
Yeah, 7:30.
Joey doesn't know what's going on.
Let's just end with this.
Oh.
Ooh, I heard some Darth Vader.
That's Ace and his new toy.
See you
I'm very
guys later.
jealous.